Is that a fish? No way. No way, that's a fish. Second cast. Second cast in there, we've already got a fish. What the heck is this? What the heck is this? What the heck is this? Second cast in there. What is it? A little pickerel. All right, I'll take it. It's nothing too big. I couldn't tell. He wasn't fighting very hard, but of course, felt some weight in my line. That is already a fish. 2 casts in with this little square bill crankbait. I want to be super careful with this guy. Just a tiny little pickerel with these treble hooks. These guys are absolutely vicious. See if I can get this guy up without him putting the hook in me. There we go. All right, that's fish number 1. Solid little pickerel right there on the square bill crankbait. Just a little pickerel, nothing too special, but it's a good start to the day. Only 2 casts in. That is a really good sign. Came up here not quite as warm as I was hoping, so I figured why not tie on one of my favorite little bait fish imitation baits in this little square bill crankbait. All right, let's get this guy unhooked before I get a hook in my face. Let's get him back. All right, guys, fish number 1 of the day. Just a slimy little pickerel, but I will take it. And there he goes. That did not take very long at all. Just a few casts in, fishing with this little lipless crankbait, or this square bill crankbait. And we got one. Came up here, not quite as warm as I was hoping for it to be this earlier in the day, but definitely seems like there's some sort of bite going on right now. It's pretty windy, not super warm, as I said. The sun is out, which is good. This is a clear water pond, first time out in the kayak of the year. That gives me a lot of confidence. Basically what I'm trying to do is come out to some of this deeper water because I know these fish are gonna be out in some of that deeper water. Water's not super warm. There could be a few fish up kind of spawning right now, but I feel like the majority of these fish, since we did have some warm weather and now some cold weather the last couple days, that I feel like these fish will be in a little bit deeper water. I'm using, rather than a deep diving crankbait, I'm using that square bill just because even though they're deep, I think they're going to be deep today. I don't think they're going to be super lethargic on the bottom. I still think we could find some aggressive ones up within that first couple feet of the water column. So let's get kayaking. Let's get paddling up there. I'm going to go all the way up. Let the wind take me all the way back down to the other side of the bank. Wait a second, is that a fish? Oh my God, that is a fish. What the heck? I was reeling in, and of course, I couldn't even tell there was a fish. Hopefully this is a bass. This is the second one of the day, and of course, it is just a little pickerel. Well, I'm hopefully gonna be able to just shake this guy off, but there's fish number 2 on the jerkbait, switched up a little bit. You guys could see it. Just a tiny little pickerel. Got every single one of those treble hooks in his mouth. So let's see if we can't get him up here, get him unhooked pretty quickly, get him back in the water. Once again, this is not what we're going after. This is definitely a bycatch when you're fishing in a pond like this for bass. So let's see if we can't get this guy unhooked. It's number 2 on the day. I will take it to absolutely destroy these little jerk baits. And with these treble hooks and a small fish like that, we were just waiting to get a fish or a hook in the hand. I like to handle my fish usually a little bit better, but there we go. That is number 2 on the day. Another little pickerel. I switched up to the jerkbait. I was in between twitches with that jerkbait. Of course, I reel up. It ended up just being a little small guy, which is why I could barely feel him hit it. But I'll take it. I mean, there are definitely a lot of pickerel in this pond, and when I'm fishing for bass, it's definitely a bycatch that you can catch when you are fishing for bass is pickerel. It's number 2 on the day. Nothing too. Oh my God, that's fish. That is another fish. Did he come off? He came off. Oh my, he did not come off. What the heck? I couldn't even feel him fighting. This is what happens when I'm fishing for these little pickerel. Oh my God, they're so aggressive. They're so aggressive, and I could barely even feel them on there. Just absolutely cranked it. And this one might be the smallest one of the bunch. Wow, might need to switch up to something on the bottom, maybe a little bit bigger to not get these little pickerel to bite. But as you can see, they're absolutely vicious when it comes to baits. Anything that's moving in there. Oh, There he goes. Well, I'll take it. I mean, they're definitely aggressive, and as I'm coming over to this deeper part of the pond, there's definitely some more aggressive fish, or at least more active fish, even if they are pickerel. So it is a good sign that there are biting fish around this pond, even if it's not what we're looking for. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking. Let's get back in there and not turn the camera back on until I can maybe find a bass. Oh, there's fish. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. What is this? Is this a bass? This is a bass. There we go. First bass on the day. I think this is a bass. Yeah, it's a little guy. I'll take it. Not a terrible fish. Not a terrible fish for the first bass of the day. Absolutely cranked the jerkbait. Absolutely cranked the jerkbait. Oh my gosh, and he is digging. It's not a giant, but let's get this guy in. He's looking pretty good. Let's just plop him up in here. All right. All right. There we go. It's nothing giant, but that is at least a start on the day for the bass. I've been fishing for quite some time now, and obviously we've got, I think, maybe even 6 or 7 pickerel now. I'm not going to put them all in the video probably, but so many pickerel are just biting this jerkbait, and I figured I got to stick with it at least for a couple more casts. And of course, a couple casts after I say that, we've got ourselves nice little bass. I mean, at least it's a start. Nice little solid, probably 1 pounder on the jerkbait. Let's get him back. All right, guys, that is fish number, I don't know, maybe 7, but as bass number 1 on the day, most importantly, on that jerkbait. Like I said, not the prettiest looking fish, but definitely solid little one. Cranked that jerkbait. This water is absolutely freezing. Oh my gosh. And there he goes. Well, I'll definitely take it. I mean, we haven't put together a great pattern for bass, but that's the first good little bite there. That's obviously first largemouth we've caught of the day, and I'll definitely take it. Only about a 1 pounder, but anyway, it's a good start for the bass at least. Keep fishing for about 15 more minutes and then come back with a new plan, and still think we can get on some big ones. Let's get right back in there. Oh, there's a fish. There we go. There we go. There we go. Here's one. Here's one. Another fish. That seems like a big one. That seems like a big one. On the square bill crankbait this time. On the square bill crankbait this time. That is a nice fish. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. There we go. That's a nice bass. Do not come off. Do not come off. This one was a little bit shallower than I've been fishing. It's a nice little fish. A solid one. Absolutely cranked it. He is fighting. Gotta be very careful. I'm gonna get down and get the net. I'm gonna go down and grab the net behind me. I'm gonna grab the net behind me. It's not a giant, but it's a solid one. A little bit better than that first one. It's a good sign that we're finally getting on a pattern with these bass. Definitely a better fish. And he is running. We've stuck him pretty good though. Get back over here, buddy man. Get back over here. Oh, he did not like that. And there we go. He's in the net. It's not a giant, but it's a solid one. I'll take it. Not quite as big as I thought he was originally, but definitely a solid little fish for the second one of the day. Throwing just a little bit different presentation with this little square bill crankbait. And he absolutely cranked it. That is bass number 2. We're finally starting to put together a pattern to get these bass. They're definitely a little bit further up shallow than those pickerel were and where I was fishing in the beginning of the day. Maybe a solid 1.5 pounder. Let's get him back. All right, guys, now we are starting to get somewhere. As bass number 2, definitely a longer fish, a much healthier fish as well. I mean, there are big fish in this pond. I caught a 6.5 last time I was here, so we definitely can find some. But here's fish number 2. Let's get him back. We've drifted up into the shallow water, but he'll get back there. Really hard fighting fish, and really nice colors on him. Let's get him back before we get too close to the bank. And there he goes, right on the other side of us. That was pretty cool. I mean, definitely starting to put together a pattern. I was fishing with that jerkbait, got on the 1 bass, decided we're in a little bit deeper water, and even though this isn't a super deep diving bait, it's gonna get on a little bit more consistently deep depth than that jerkbait. So I figured, why not throw this bait around? And of course, it only took maybe a few casts before we got on that second bass of the day. Anyway, let's stop talking. Let's get back in there, and who knows what's gonna happen next. Let's get on another one. All right, one more cast over this way. I feel like there could be a fish over here. Thought that was a blow up on top, but oh, there's a fish. There's a fish. That's a solid one. That's a solid one. He's kind of fighting really weird. He's fighting really weird. This is a bass? It is a bass. Oh my gosh. He fought super hard, and then he just barely fought. I think he was swimming right towards me. Of course, now he is digging. Now he is digging. It's probably the best one of the day. This fish is digging. Wow. It's not a giant. Another solid little fish. Let out some line. See if we can't bring him over here. See if we can't get this guy up into the net. No need for the net. There we go. There we go. A solid fish. Maybe the best one of the day. Probably a little bit shorter, but a much chunkier, kind of healthier fish than the first two there. Absolutely cranked it. That's the second fish that I've caught right around this area over the last probably about 20 minutes. Solid number 3, at least for the bass on the day. Let's get him back. All right, guys, the wind has picked up. Hopefully it's not too bad, but there's bass number 3. Definitely the best one of the day. A close to 2-pounder. I don't think he's quite there. Maybe about 1.75. Let's get him back. There he goes. Well, that was pretty cool. Nice little fish right there. Absolutely cranked it. I just switched up my color a little bit from that shad imitator bait to just a little bluegill imitation. Something a little bit more natural for this clear water. You've definitely not fully figured out these fish yet, but it's a solid bass number 3 on the day. Let's get back in there. That's fish. Oh my gosh. That's absolutely a bite. Yeah, he's got it. He's running with it. He is running with it now. He's got it. He's got to have it now. He's got to have it now. Oh my gosh. Got it. Yep, got it. Got him. How big is this fish? We got him. Pinned him. How big is this fish? He's fighting pretty good. This could be a big fish. He is, oh my gosh, he's digging. He is digging. I'm going away from him. The current is pulling me away. Oh my God. Keep him pinned. Keep him pinned. Okay, it's not a giant. It's not a giant. It's a solid fish, though. It's a solid fish, though. There we go. Finally, one on a little finesse gear, or at least a more finessey setup with this little weightless Texas rig. Dang, this fish is digging. It is digging. I mean, this is not a giant fish. It's an all right fish. But it is just digging. Oh my gosh. Wow, is this fish fighting hard. That is insane. Let's get him up here. Let's get this guy up here. Really nice spots on him. There, oh no. Almost got him. Almost got him. And we got him now. And we got him now. There we go. Oh my gosh, did he want that. He absolutely cranked it. What a cool little fish. Came up shallow, decided, you know what? I'm going to fish some shallow areas with some slower moving stuff since I haven't really done that all day. That's not a giant, but I will take it. It is a solid fish on a little weightless Texas rig right here with a little lunker log from Googan Bass. Let's get this guy back though. All right, guys, I think that's bass number 4. First one using a little bit new technique. Let's get him back. There he goes. That was pretty sick. I mean, definitely something just a little bit different for these fish to find. I think the water's a little bit warmer right now, which means they're going to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe come up to some shallower water, since the surface temperature should be just a little bit warmer now. But that was pretty close to one of these banks. While this is a super skinny area, it does get pretty deep in the middle. But that guy was sitting right up there, and he cranked it. Don't have that much time, but we've got enough time to find a big one. Let's get back in there. Is that a fish? No way. That's a fish. No way. What the heck? What the heck? Oh my God. How big is this fish? It is not coming up. I had a backlash, and I was just letting my bait sit. I don't think it's a giant. Oh, it's a nice one though. It is a nice one though. What the heck? I actually had a backlash. Oh my gosh, it's probably the biggest one of the day. probably the biggest one of the day. It's not a giant, but it's a solid fish. Okay. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Get up here. Get up here. Get up here. There we go. All right. I don't know if it's the biggest one of the day or not, but I was taking out a backlash, and of course, he cranked it. A solid fish, too. Well, I think we found a pattern. We're going to stay up here and fish shallow for probably the rest of the time we have. That was pretty cool. That is fish number 2 after the lunch break. What is that, bass number 5? Absolutely cranked it. Once again, let's get him back in the water. All right, guys, there we go. That is bass number 5 on the day. He was hooked a little bit down there, but he should be fine. Let's get him back. Go right back in there, buddy. And there he goes. Well, that's... Oh, there he goes. He was sitting right there. I was like, is he going to swim away? There he goes. But that's a solid little fish. I'll take it. That's number what? 2 after the break, number 5 total for the bass. Pretty much in that same spot as well. I mean, we're coming out here. We're trying to find these fish up shallow. And it's this bait right here that definitely seems to be getting them. Just a solid little, what is this? A cinnamon-colored Googan Baits Lunker Log. One of my favorite colors. Super natural for this clear water. It's a bait that I've gotten on a lot of big fish with. And that wasn't a giant, but it's a solid fish. Super hard fighting. Both of the bass that I've caught out of this little cove have absolutely cranked the bait, and they've run with it. That's good. Couple fish now that we're definitely putting together a pattern. I'm going to go fully around this cove. Then I'm going to head up the bank and pretty much fish solely up shallow. Try to find one big one that might be in the spawn. Let's get back in there. Let's go super shallow underneath that tree. That's perfect cast. Oh, I have a fish. I have a fish. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have a fish on there. I have a fish on there. How big is this? I'm so wrapped up. I'm so wrapped up. Does not seem giant. Does not seem giant. Can I get him out? Oh, he's stuck over top. He's stuck over top. Oh, he came off. Dang. That was so cool. I made a perfect cast right underneath this little tree and inside of here. Of course, I see my line running right into the tree. And, I mean, I'll take it. It was not a giant. It was a solid little fish, but nothing too special. Came off as I was trying to horse him up through there. I made a perfect cast, but as that fish bit it, of course, he's gonna go right back into the structure. I'll take it. That was a solid little bite. It was not a giant fish though, so cannot be too upset about that. Let's stand up and see if we can't sight fish anymore. There's just no way there is not a fish there. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. He blew up on top. That was insane. And he's fighting super hard. It's not a giant. It's a solid fish. Oh, it's probably the best one of the day. That was so cool. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. Oh my gosh. That was so cool. That's the best one of the day, probably. Oh my God. And he's pulling the kayak. He's pulling the kayak. And he's pulling the kayak right into the stump. That was so cool. Oh, don't get in there. Don't get in there. Don't get... Oh my God. He's so stuck in the stump. He's so stuck in the stump. Oh my gosh. That was insane. That was insane. That was... No, don't get in there. Do not get in there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He blew up on top. He literally blew up on the top of the water. And it's probably the biggest one of the day. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What a bite. Oh my gosh. Look at that hook. That's a solid 2+ pounder, probably about 2 1/4. Probably the biggest one of the day. Definitely the biggest one of the day. And he actually blew up on the bait on top of the water. That was insane. I casted it in there. He must have been sitting right underneath the stump. Of course, blows up on it. Let him take it. And he absolutely cranked it. That is how you want to hook a fish. Perfectly pinned in the side of the mouth. Wow. Not a giant, a solid fish, but what an eat. All right, guys, what a cool catch. Solid 2+. I give him just over 2 pounds, probably. Maybe pushing about 2 1/4. But that is such a cool fish. Let's put him right back near this stump. Get him right back in there. Wow. That was such a cool bite. I mean, to go from, in the beginning of this day, just scrounging for bites, getting so many pickerels, scrounging for a few bass bites out in deep water, to now coming up shallow and finding a fish that was that dang aggressive is insane. I mean, we come up here, to this little secluded little spot from the wind. It's a little cove. It actually comes in a circle. This is an island right in front of me. There's a little circle of water around here, a canal type. And now we're finding aggressive fish that are eating a bait that I really love to throw in just a little weightless Texas rig right here. Let's get back in there. I think they're just aggressive because the water is so skinny right here, especially on this side of the little cut. It is super shallow. So this water is going to be the warmest water in the entire pond, and it's secluded from all that wind. That's a bite. That's a fish. Got it. There we go. Little guy, I think. Little guy, I think. He's pulling though. Little guy. Oh my gosh. Over top of the stuff. It's a decent fish. He's over top of those wires. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can we land him? He's way over top of those wires. It's a solid, I'll take it probably about a 1.5 pounder. Oh my gosh. My line is going to break. It's actually all over that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to land him. I have to get underneath these wires. He's sitting all the way over there. I took a cast over to a spot where I saw a fish earlier. And of course, he bit it right away. But I don't know if I'm gonna be able to land him. If I can get over to the other side of this. Maybe if I walk onto the dock real quick. Oh my gosh. Hopefully my kayak doesn't go away. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's get over here. Get over here. See if we can bring him up to the bank. Bring him up to the bank. Oh my gosh. That was so cool. That was so cool. It's a solid fish too. It's a solid fish too. It's a solid fish too. Get up here, buddy. Get up here, buddy. What a catch. Oh my gosh. I casted over top of the wire. Got off my kayak, which is now floating away. And we've got a solid 2-pounder. That was so cool. My kayak is now gone, but we'll go grab it and get this guy back in the water. Oh my gosh, this is so stupid. And we've got the kayak back. Oh, get back over here. And we're in. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dude. This is so stupid. All right, guys, another little guy. That was a pretty crazy catch over top of the dock, which is now floating in the middle of this little creek. Let's get him back. Such a cool little fish, probably about a 2-pounder. Let's get him back. Just had him in the net there to revive him for a second. And there he goes, gracefully, right back in there. That was pretty cool. Casted right over top of those wires, which of course connect this dock to both sides of the island and the main land. And had to get onto the dock. Then my kayak floated away, had to get back onto the dock to get my kayak. Oh, and there's a fish right there that I just released. That was pretty cool. I have to bring this dock back to the land so that anybody else can use it, but that's cool. Maybe we'll fish for another 10-15 minutes, but that was a solid little fish to possibly end out the day here. Let's get back in there. That's a bite. That's a fish. Got it. There we go. Another one. Oh my gosh. There's so many up shallow. There's so many up shallow. Oh my gosh. I was about to leave and I figured I have to pull up to this spot because there's a little point. This guy cranked it. Oh my gosh, he cranked it. He cranked it. A solid fish too. There are so many dang fish up shallow. Should have been fishing up shallow the entire day. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, he cranked it. There we go. Another solid one. Not a giant, maybe about a 1-pounder, but these guys are so dang aggressive up shallow. I only have maybe a couple more casts here, but there are definitely so many fish coming up into that shallow, warmer water. Probably getting ready to spawn. Let's get this guy unhooked and back in there. Another solid, probably about 1-pounder. I'll take it. All right, guys, that's another fish for the day. We'll take it. Let's get him back really quickly here. There he goes. I'm gonna take maybe 1 or 2 more casts right up here. That's another solid fish. I definitely should have come up shallow. I think these fish did kind of start to come up shallow later in the day because I did take a few casts up earlier in the day, even though I was mainly focusing on that deeper bite. But there's definitely the majority of these aggressive fish are up in these shallow waters. I'm assuming getting ready to spawn or something. There are just so many of them that are right here. What a cast, by the way. that are right here and super aggressive. Not even relating to a whole lot of structure, just cruising the bank. That could be a pre-spawn thing or a post-spawn thing when these fish are feeding up. There's another fish. Got him, another one. Oh, there was a little guy. He was a little guy. It was a little tiny fish, and I'm snagged up now. There's a little guy right there. See if we can't get on one. Then we're gonna head out, but definitely a solid day of fishing. Let's get back in there.